Well, a very good evening to you. I do appreciate that you could make time this particular evening to be with us here on K24 Evening Edition on this 27th day of November 2024, a day that the government is on the spot over failure to pay interns, with KMPDU now calling on intern doctors to withdraw their services across all health facilities in the country amid growing frustration, a situation that has led to 2 tragic incidents. Now, that alone threatens to paralyze provision of health services across all health facilities here in the country. That is where we begin tonight. First of all, the highlights.
We are asking all the medical doctor interns across the country, in all the facilities, to stay at home immediately.
The Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union directs medical interns not to report to work following the death of an intern pharmacist at the Thika Level 5 hospital on Monday. The High Court orders the government to produce evidence confirming the cancellation of the Adani JKIA deal as it bars the government from initiating any deal with the Indian firm.
Requests that the implementing agencies and the National Treasury, if they can adhere to Section 9 of the Public Audit Act 2015, that requires public officers to provide information to the auditors.
A special audit by the Auditor General Nancy Gathungu reveals irregularities in Kenya's external debt servicing, including overpayments of up to 77 billion in the controversial Adani K24 deal.
To seek a formal withdrawal of the Religious Organizations Bill, Senate Bills number 44 of 2024.
Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana withdraws the Religious Organizations Bill that seeks to regulate religious groups, stating that he had written a letter to the Speaker of the Senate, Amason King, seeking a formal withdrawal. Now, welcome to the program. I am Ian Keitani, and our sign language interpreter is Clement Mule. Remember, you can watch this bulletin live across all our social media platforms at K24 TV. We begin our bulletin now, and public health services are expected to be disrupted starting today after the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union directed over 4,000 medical interns to withdraw their services. This comes amid the government's failure to pay interns for 4 months, a situation that has already led to the suicides of 2 doctors. Ventura Komboka opens our bulletin tonight.
The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union, KMPDU, has instructed over 4,000 medical intern doctors to withdraw their services from all public health facilities effective today. This directive follows the tragic death of a doctor by suicide, a move that is set to disrupt healthcare delivery across the country.
Kenyans are being put in a plane where the pilot, who is the doctor, is suicidal. But the airline tells you that they have insured the plane, they have fueled it, and you, the patient, should trust yourself to fly with this sick pilot. For once, let us ask ourselves who will care for the carers.
We are not seeing anything positive coming from that negotiations, because from the start of those talks, the judge noted that the circular that was issued by SRC is in dispute with an existing collective bargaining agreement. We are supposed to go and talk on how government will implement the CBA, which they have not done. As a union, we have tried to be patient and to negotiate with goodwill. But our patience has been mistaken for weakness. We are asking all the medical doctor interns across the country, in all the facilities, to stay at home immediately. That we will not afford to see any more deaths out of desperation, despair, and disillusionment that are caused by hard-working conditions. Government is solely to blame for the untimely demise of our two young colleagues. And government will equally take blames for the innocent Kenyans that will lose their lives during our total shutdown that is coming in the month of December.
The move was prompted by the death of a 29-year-old doctor at the Thika Level 5 hospital who reportedly took his own life after enduring frustrations at work. This follows 5 previous suicide attempts by other medical interns.
Those interns come join us.
Yeah.
According to KMPDU Secretary General Davji Atela, medical interns have gone for 4 months without pay, despite a return-to-work agreement signed after a 56-day strike ended in May. The union accuses the government of failing to honor its commitments, leaving interns in financial crisis.
We demand that these intern doctors that are currently working, that have labored for the last 4 months, be paid their salaries immediately, as per the CBA agreement that we signed 7 years ago. Payment that has been done seamlessly for 7 years is now causing death, mayhem, and suffering of doctors who are expected to offer services in the hospitals. How is universal health care deliverable when the government is out to kill the same persons who ought to offer these services in the hospitals by ensuring that they're not paid, they're not supported, they're not motivated?
The union has expressed frustrations over stalled negotiations and a Salaries and Remuneration Commission circular that was nullified by the High Court and has warned of a potential strike notice by the end of the month.
We are not seeing anything positive coming from that negotiations because from the start of those talks, the judge noted that the circular that was issued by SRC is in dispute with an existing collective bargaining agreement. We are supposed to go and talk on how government will implement the CBA, which they have not done. As a union, we have tried to be patient and to negotiate with goodwill. But our patience has been mistaken for weakness.
This development comes 2 months after another 27-year-old medical intern at Gatundu Level 5 Hospital in Kiambu County was found dead in her apartment. She had reportedly faced financial struggles and toxic working environment.
Thank you so much.
For K24 TV, I'm Bentura Kwamboka.
To the corridors of justice, and the High Court in Milimani has ordered the state to produce evidence that it indeed cancelled the Adani JKA deal. Judge Bahati Mwamuye has at the same time suspended the government from entering into any deal with the Indian company Adani Holdings, with the case set to proceed to full hearing. As Martin Opio reports, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka is demanding that those responsible for the project take full liability. Martin Opio with that report.
Days after President William Ruto announced the cancellation of Adani deals that included proposed lease of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, several groups were back in court for the case challenging JKIA lease.
The afternoon heard from counsel on various matters.
Judge Bahati Mwamuye tied all the loose knots that could see the government by any chance return to Adani agreements. Mwamuye suspended the government from entering into any agreement or signing any contract with the Adani Group.
Pending the hearing and determination of the petitioner applicant's notice of motion application dated 12th October 2024, a conservatory order be and is hereby issued, restraining the respondents, jointly and severally, from entering into, approving, or furthering any concession agreement relating to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport with the first and second respondents or their associated or related entities or any other party or entity.
The Adani Holdings has also been prohibited from taking control of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, and its assets.
Pending the hearing and determination of the application, a conservatory order be and is hereby issued, restraining the 11th and 12th respondents from taking over and operating the assets and business of the 7th respondent relating to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
In further back-to-back orders, the government will also be required to submit proof of evidence to the High Court confirming the cancellation of the relevant contracts by the 25th of January next year.
The respondents shall, in their responses to the application and the amended petition, adduce evidence on the question of any alleged cancellation or rejection of the impugned concession agreements and head of terms.
The government, through its lawyers, had previously stated that there was no contract to be annulled, while the Adani Group sought to have the court remove them from the case filed against them. Wiper leader and senior counsel Kalonzo Musyoka, Kibe Mungai and Dan Manzo, and Eugene Wamalwa as well, who are the petitioners, argued that there must be accountability on those who initiated the Adani deal project before the matter can be wished away.
The position of the petitioners would be that we shall have to proceed for a declaration that those dealings with Adani were fraudulent and unlawful ab initio, in which event no compensation is payable.
Everybody had Kenya brought on focus that this whole matter had to do with high-level corruption. And we are saying, as you heard Councillor Kibe argue, we don't want people to cancel things and then leave Kenyans with huge burdens, paying compensation where it was not necessary. So we want this matter gone into in greater detail to even get to know who was paid what.
The judge has directed that the case be heard on January 25th next year. As the case is set to proceed to conclusion, petitioners emphasized that they were also challenging the constitutionality of the various provisions in the PPP Act that the Adani JKIA deal was founded on.
The Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, our pride and joy, the project was valued at over 268 billion shillings. We have no doubt, certainly as petitioners in this matter, that over 2.6 billion shillings has already been paid to Kenyan officials, because that is how Adani operates. The second issue, which is most worrisome, and Kenyans need to understand, American investors were cheated by Adani by taking the project that he had signed with the Indian government corruptly to get money from investors in the US, over $3 billion.
It's not enough to drop two deals, JKIA and K24. We know that Adani is in Shah. In fact, the proper name for that should be Adani Shah. That too must be dropped because it's equally tainted by fraud, by corruption, and it should face the same fate as this.
Following the cancellation of the two Adani deals, the government has remained adamant that no taxpayers' monies will be lost after the termination of the contracts following public uproar and what President William Ruto termed as new information availed to him. Martin Upio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Now, the Auditor General, Nancy Gathungu, has revealed irregularities in how the government handles debt repayments. Despite billions of shillings being approved by the Control of Budget, the National Treasury often pays less than requested and sometimes even more than approved. In one case, an excess of 77 billion was paid in the 2022-23 fiscal year. Joel Chacha reports on the findings from the special audit on external debt servicing.
A special audit report by the Auditor General has shed light on inconsistencies in how Kenya services its external loans, with underpayments and overpayments running into billions of shillings.
2021-2022, again, the amounts approved by the COB was 339.046 billion. The actual amount paid by CBK was 255.741 billion, giving a variance of 83.305 billion. In 2022-2023, again, the amount approved by COB was 311.722 billion, while the actual amount paid by CBK was 388.807 billion.
For instance, in the 2022-2023 fiscal year, the government overpaid 77 billion Kenya shillings, an amount that is more than 3/4 of what Kenya was seeking in the controversial Adani K24 deal,
which also presented a challenge.
The report also exposes weaknesses in oversight, with the Attorney General only providing legal opinions for 5 out of 32 loan projects. This gap has forced the government to rely on private law firms, potentially costing the country billions.
We were not able to get documentation on the legal opinions, and we again request that the implementing agencies and the National Treasury, if they can adhere to Section 9 of the Public Audit Act 2015, that requires public officers to provide information to the auditors.
Further, the audit flagged the lack of public participation in loan procurement, with only 10 out of 32 projects involving Kenyans in the process.
On the issue of public participation, are we assuming that all these loans were contracted after the new constitution, or were there some that were contracted before that?
15 of the 32 project loans sampled are dated between 1995 and 2010. So I think that explains yes.
Then we can excuse that was not a requirement at that time. But going forward, maybe as this committee may recommend, it should be something that should be taken care of.
Now the Debt and Privatization Committee of the National Assembly warns that these loopholes could lead to billions of shillings being lost annually in debt repayments.
For purposes of record and ease of following, at the time of approval, what was the exchange rate? At the time of payment, what was the exchange rate? Then we be able to follow through and see for sure the reason as to why there is this variance. It is because there was some fluctuation that is explained.
Some figures here are beyond that fluctuation of exchange rate. Others are less, others are more. And yet, when the shilling falls, I think this audit report was done when the shilling was still going up. But in situation now where the dollar exchange rate comes down, the loan must also equally come down significantly.
Look, the control budget approves a payment. Then the payment could come 2 or 3 days later. Between those 2 days, there could be some fluctuation because this payment is denominated in foreign currency. It's either dollar or a yen or what. So what the members are asking, you as auditors, were you convinced that that lapse of time was justifying these differences?
Joel Chacha, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Well, that story by Joel Chacha takes us to a fast breather. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away.
As the sun rises, so do we, as we trust it to rise and set without any worries interrupting your day. Star Times Home Solar Solutions